how do you migrate an SAP PI ICO to a CPI Iflow? This is what we'll show in this video, how the Figaf tool will automate that migration, making it a lot faster for you to deliver this migration. So first up, let's look at the ICO that we're looking at. If you have been using iFlow, it will look the same way. If you have done receiver determination in a classical dual stack system, the flow would be absolutely the same. The only thing is, now in a migration from an ICO, we'll select the ICO. If it's a receiver determination, we'll select the receiver determination for handling the migration. So it has a channel, it has a receiver split here with a condition. It also have a message split with a function library that we'll be using, and it has some output conditions here with some communication channels. Next up is we'll go to the Figaf tool that already have connections to your PI system, and we will then select the iFlow. Let's see if we can find it here. SAP PI, it's this one we'll be selecting, and then we'll select where we want this to be created. Auto migration. We can then check, and this will then give us an idea about what this migration would look like. We can see there's 4 communication channels, 1 sender and 3 receivers. For each of them, it have tried to select a XSLT to convert the PI channel to a CPI channel, and you can select which of them that makes sense for you. These are delivered in a Git repository that you can clone and add your own values to. So in here we can set up file name attributes, all these other things, and you also have an option to set external properties that will then be copied once you create this release. Then we'll go back to the tool with these attributes, and we can see it's just about looking at the preview. Here it will give us a list of all the attributes, or what the iFlow would look like, and then it's just to click migrate, and this will migrate the iFlow into a CPI iFlow. So let's open this one. So the package. So now we have a package and an iFlow here that is called 14, and here we can see it has the same structure. There's a receiver grouping, the message mappings that have been used here, and if we, for instance, take this message mapping, we can see it has the same message mapping here, and for instance in this one we have migrated the function library to this and Groovy script, and this is then shared among the different iFlows that you'll be using in it. You will need to go through this and update it, because CPI is using mapping context, whereas PI has container. So if you're using the containers, you'll need to just resolve them, but once you've resolved it, you would not need to fix that anymore. Now it's just, we need to, as it says here, we need to change the URL, and this server I know is not working anymore, so we'll just delete this connection, and we'll save it as a version 1.1, and we will say deploy. And what we'll do is, obviously we'll start the deployment. We will go to our tracked object. This is where we have the full repository of your iFlow, and we will go to our CPI agent here. We will synchronize it, because now we just have version 1.00, and we just need also the latest one. Then we can go to, let's just take this one first. So obviously we want to understand what's going on and what exists in our Iflow, and we want a better way to handle this. Whenever you're synchronizing something, it can be published into a Git repository, and we can see we already get the Git repository here with all the resources that exist. So we can see here the mapping with our function library. We can see the function library, and we can make the changes in if we want to. It also comes with some of the Gradle additions over here, so we just need to reload the Gradle. That should be done. And you can see all the different artifacts that's a part of the Iflow, so it also adds the XSDs, etc. to this shared repository. So now we have an Iflow, we have migrated it, we have deployed it, and we can then want to run the test on it to make sure it works. And that goes to go to our PI system. Here we will find the same Iflow we have, and we already have created a test case for it. If you want to create a test case for it, it's just about selecting it and select record messages, and then you can record the next 5 messages that's being processed on this Iflow. But for now we already have created one, and what we can do is we can select this test case, we can migrate to an Iflow. Demo 14 will create it, and we then need to select the Iflow that we used, and so we have it here. It is in state of starting, and here we can see that it figures out what are the different steps that is mapped in this one, the receiver and the interfaces for these things, what are their values in the migration flow. So this makes it a lot easier to migrate and run the test case for it. So now it has been migrated. Then have here the test case we have for it, and if we just check up the status here, it's now started. So we can actually just press run, request a license for it, because we want to test that runs. We can run it, and this will then switch the Iflow into trace mode, send the messages through, and we will then be able to view the results once this has been done. So we received a different message than we expected because we ignored that element, but we did receive 2 messages here that were an error, and here we can see it's just the date that is different. We can simply just ignore that, and we can run the comparison again, process the full comparison, and now we got 2 successful and an unexpected because our mapping did not work as expected for this case, because our adapter was not working. So all in all, this gives us really a good opportunity to manage and view our integration, what's going on, test that it has been delivered correctly. Next up is obviously we want to deliver this in the landscape, and here the Figaf tool will also help. So you can select the Iflow, you can assign it to a ticket, create here. We can move it in our landscape as we like to do. We would have it Euro ticket or something like that. We will link this to, and that means we will get a DevOps license for it also. And now what we can do is the tracked object here. I just need to attach dependent objects to make sure we got everything covered, and we can add the test cases that we created. We can start our transport, and with this we have an option here to configure the Iflow and all the attributes in the landscape as we liked it. So we can see we got the FTP host, we got the target URLs, and we can define these if we want to, and make the modifications that's required for it to work in that specific system. So now it's just going back, send it to approval, and whoever will then be able to approve it can approve it, and now it will be delivered and imported on this, in this case, virtual system that you would then be able to test and see how it works. So that's actually how the full migration process will work, what the tool would do, how it would run, and make sure that you have migrated everything. And yeah, I hope you want to try it out. Go to the link in the description to see more about how the tool works. Thank you.